we're here to let it rip, man. So what do you got to say?
Let it rip.
What's the most exotic animal you've ever ridden?
Most exotic animal I've ever ridden. A horse. I mean, I don't know. I guess.
3 for 3.
3 for 3.
Yeah. Not exotic, but sure. Joe exotic.
Well, it depends. If you rode it exotically in like a handstand formation or 1 foot down, other foot kicked back, that still counts for something. If you haven't, I recommend it.
What about you?
Me, dragon.
Oh,
But that was back in my drug addict days, so I can't, like, there's no like actual like physical proof of it. But I'm pretty sure
you weren't on a dragon; you were riding the dragon.
Riding the dragon, yeah.
Bro, that shit hard different, Mikey.
Yeah, bro. The dragon.
So, dude, Austin, dude, in all honesty, bro, like I wanted you on this podcast. Me and Mikey have been ripping now for I don't know, a few months, and we're not podcasters, we're not YouTubers, we're just a bunch of fucking degenerates that love to help people in life, whether that be through tattoo, music, fucking art, creativeness, social media. And what better guest could I have on than a homie of mine for, what are we going on now, dude? I think we met in like our teens, probably playing the Showcase Theater, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, maybe like 20. I don't know. So
in the early 20s, maybe then.
Yeah,
dude. And awesome, man. You're not only a hell of a drummer, you're an incredible role model to a lot of the younger generation, and you play some really kick-ass drums in some really cool bands. So I want to introduce you as far as like hearing your story, dude. Like let's start from the beginning, bro. Like what got you into drumming? What got you into? Fuck, I don't even know what band you were in before Bleed the Sky, but like let's hear it, bro. Let's hear the story real quick.
Wow. I mean, how far do you want to go? I mean,
let's go.
Drumming, or?
Let's go 90s. Let's go late 90s, dude, because I imagine that's when you started playing the drums.
Yeah, I mean, I got my first kit when I was 9, but I was really just more of a listener, and I was still obviously an avid listener, but my mom actually recognized that I had natural rhythm because my stepdad was in this bar band, and they would come to the house and jam out. And I guess one day they took a break, and I was like, oh, let me go sit on the kit. I'm like 8 or something. And I immediately had rhythm, and, some light bulbs went off. And, my mom got with my aunt and was like, let's get this kid a drum set for Christmas. Oh, yeah. So that's what happened. And even through those years, though, that kit was just more of a novelty. Like it was just something that, I'd look at once in a while and be like, all right, I'm bored. Like, let's go play this thing. It was nothing real serious. Not until, and I did concert band and then I did marching band in high school, and the kit was still kind of like, it's set up, it's not, it's in the rafters. The spark really happened when I was like in my late junior year or something like that, and I didn't know what I was going to do with life. The time was ticking, senior year's coming up, and I'm like, I'm going to go into the Army. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. You know what I mean? And so I was seeing the recruiter. I was severely overweight at the time. He was like, yo, you need to drop like 30 fucking pounds. You ain't going to cut it. And I was like, oh, shit. And I was lazy at the time. And experimenting with weed and those degenerate friends. And I was like, fuck, I don't know if I can get on that train. I didn't know how to eat good yet. I didn't know any of it,
Yep.
And I got this opportunity. A buddy of mine, his name was Adam. And he was in this he was in this band called Shy Front. Worst name ever. I was like, yeah, I'm in. He's like, what do you think about joining this band? And they already had a drummer, so I'm like, what am I going to do? Yeah. He's like, well, just come to the practice and we'll figure it out. Come to the practice, and Slipknot had come out. So I guess I should mention that's what really got me into wanting to do more stuff, do more band stuff. I've been playing, but I hadn't seen what that looked like yet with all the stuff I'd learned in marching band, you know what I mean? And I didn't know that I'd get the kit out and I'd be like a whole different approach. And it immediately transferred to the kit. And I was like, whoa, oh shit, like some things are happening. And so anyways, join that band. And I go to the first practice, watch what they got going. I'm like, well, Slipknot's got another drummer and he just hits shit, and so So the next practice I came and I brought a fucking floor tom and I had these shitty fucking rototoms, like bing, bing, bing. You know what I mean? I didn't know what I was doing, and I just started playing like wild marching band shit to wherever I could,
Sick.
And and then that drummer was also in another band, and so he was kind of like balancing act, and I think he was more serious about that band. So he started not being flaky, but just having to thread the needle. And so when those random days would come up, they were like, well, the songs, like let's just for practicing purposes, let's crush through them or whatever. And that became like a light bulb for them. We're like, dude, you're playing these songs with no fucking problem, and you're adding shit. Let's start writing a couple songs with you. You know what I mean? So it's like fucking cool. I started doing that. We were working on like 2 songs. And then the next practice, the drummer came. They went through their songs, and then we switched. I got on the kit, and we played the new shit. And he kind of recognized and like gave the tip of the hat. He's like, dude, like the direction they're going, like you're fitting this better. I'm doing this. Like, why don't you just take the gig? I'm like, fucking A,
Yeah.
And so we started. I started being in that band, and it was just like Lightbulb City, constantly elevating. And it came to a point where those guys were kind of like plateauing at that time, and I just kept having a million ideas. To the point where like my feet are getting cool and coming up with patterns that are like different than anything they've done. And so one day, this was like the severe light bulb moment. One day, I had this sick little fucking diddle I was doing with my feet, and I was like, dude, just match that with the fucking pick hand, like the syncopated shit. And he couldn't do it. And I was like, well, not to like step on your toes, but like show me how to make the fucking jing sound on the guitar and how to hold the pick and all that. I don't know. I've never picked up a guitar.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, this is what you do. We play drop tuning. Every fret is a chord. So that's fucking simple. I'm like, all right. And so he hands it to me. Within like a few minutes, I'm already emulating and playing exactly what my feet are doing. And in my mind, I'm like, cool, you got it? Like, here you go. Like, now we're going to get it.
Copy and paste.
Yeah. So we go into it, and the guitar player is struggling to like play it well for like 20 minutes, you know what I mean? And that was that moment where I was like, I think I had a little something more naturally than the next guy. Like not any kind of like egotistical. It was just like it was a moment I recognized, I think I'm supposed to do something more with this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And so that continued. Things fell apart there. And that was just my first band. I had graduated. We broke up. Guys moved. I was kind of just watching my other buddies' band. They were called, remember the band Driven AD?
Oh, yeah. Dude. Yeah.
Okay, so those were my boys.
Right.
What happened here?
Oh, no, you're still here. We can see you.
Yeah. If we freeze.
Yeah, so Jason Campbell, man. I still talk to Jason every now and then, man. Great dude.
That's awesome. Okay,
Jason's doing great, man.
Hold on one second. Sorry, I don't know.
Dude, your phone probably timed out. It's okay. We're good.
All right.
That's why we say no filters, no scripts.
That's right. I wonder if somebody calls, if we can turn this into a call-in show. Just answer it, and now they're a part of the process with us.
Like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Yeah. Here we go. Yeah.
There you are. Yeah, Jason, dude, we talked for a while when Mantis was going to do a couple things here and there, and we always were like, dude, Driven AD and Mantis show would be phenomenal, and like we still it's still in the pipeline. You know what I mean? But yeah.
But anyways, my buddy Brandon was in this band. There were 2 Brandons in the band, the drummer, and then my buddy that I grew up with. He was in the band, and that's how our bands would know each other, and we started like sharing that lockout. But when the band broke up, it was just boom, we're out of there and there. I'm just going to his practices, like kind of like a little bit down because I was like building all this fire, and now this is over, and I was just hanging around and watching them flourish. Going to their shows. I'm like, God, these guys are so sick. Like I still think like that was such a missed opportunity. Like they just we've heard the story many times, just never got picked up. Because they sounded like the new Pantera meets Metallica and Slayer. Like they were fucking ripping, dude. and fucking the 909 had their back, right? Like hard.
Yeah.
And then from there, one thing led to another. A couple friends had me in mind and were looking for something for me. Yeah. And that's how I randomly got invited to this show, which Wayne was in this band called Ender, which was like a screamo band, kind of like hardcore-ish. And when I went and saw him at Chain, and I just didn't dig the vibe. Like I was just like I don't know what hardcore is. I just know metal, bro. Like and like I just didn't dig the vibe, and they were just okay, and they were breaking up. So I probably wasn't a good look. They were all bitter. You could tell on stage. I'm like, I don't know if I want to join this vibe, Sure. But it was weird because Wayne was in that band. And fast forward, he ended up being a Play This Guy. But then I the guy that brought me to the show, I'm like, yeah, I'm not feeling it. You know anybody else? He's like, well, actually, I'm living with this guy Noah, and these are the kind of things he's into. Why don't you just give him a call? So I gave him a call, and we're on the phone for like fucking an hour or more, and just like giddy, like all of our fucking things hit. Like we're both making each other laugh. Like we listen to the same shit, and we're both thinking the same thing. If this guy is half as good as he is cool, like we might fucking have something going on, And he comes over to my mom's, and I got my kit set up in my room, and I'm like blaring Meshuggah, like fucking Destroy, Race, Improve, and I'm like playing to the fucking part, and he's like, holy fuck, and so then I get invited to his house, and Kyle's there. They're all living together, and they're like kind of working on some shit. Kyle is the only guy, that we know that knows how to do Pro Tools at the time, which was so.
He was a maniac, dude.
But and Pro Tools was just like just on the fucking scene. Like it wasn't even like it was the new thing, right? It wasn't like everybody's using it. Like it still just wasn't like that. But he could do it, and so he had these cool demos, and it sounded like 7.
What year was that?
Fuck, man, that must have been
201?
2005, 2004. 2004, I'm going to say.
I was going to say, it had to be, somewhat. 2004. Damn, my time's fucked. I feel like we played together like 2003, dude.
Yeah, I know, right?
Dude, yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Dude, you got to figure, dude, Sleep in Your Grave came out in 2004. So we were at Showcase with you prior to that.
Yeah, we probably had some demos and shit. We were just, we weren't signed until like 2005 or 6.
Yeah.
That's what I remember.
Yeah.
But what was your first kit?
My first kit?
Yeah.
My first drum kit?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. So that first kit, rewind, was an old Tama Rockstar from like the early 90s that my aunt just found from some dude. That's another trip. Like, what did that look like? Like, classified as probably in a fucking paper? Because we're talking, like, I mean, Craigslist's not a thing. Like, nothing's a thing. So it had to have been something like that if I got a used kit from, like, some random human.
Classified section for sure, bro.
My first one was a Tama Swing Star. I feel like anybody who's played drums for that long, usually a Tama set, because that was a good standard back then. You know what I mean? That was still a real quality set. I played that set until 2014, 15. It's durable.
Yeah, absolutely. And so much so that when I traded it in for whatever the newest model Tama Rockstar was. That was the next kit. But yeah, so there started Bleed the Sky. We were ripping. I'd say we were a good 60-40 on the caring more about partying than like writing. At least in my mind. I was just like growing up, like I've always just wanted to be on a team. You know what I mean? Like I wanted that camaraderie. The furthest thing from my mind was actually like any intent of becoming, whatever. I was cool enough with like, we all love this shit. And I knew my place. Like I was a think tank, a fucking idea guy. And I love that. I love that speed. If it wasn't for Wayne, there would have been no vision as far as like taking it somewhere. Wayne's always been a businessman, still is. Like, I've said it many times, but he is that quintessential, that quote in Tommy Boy, like son to catch a popsicle to a woman in white gloves. Like that's him. Yeah. And so be it. We had fucking 4 songs barely together. I would say they were still probably skeletons. And he gets us our first show with fucking Opeth at the Galaxy, which is now the Observatory, right? Yep. And it's fucking sold out, and we suck. We didn't even have like our set lineup yet. We had this dude Dave in the band that was something else, but he just kind of he was just in there. We were just kind of put together, whatever. Like, it didn't become until after that where we realized we needed a lot of work. Let's focus more on writing something fucking great and discovering our real sound other than just fucking throwing riffs together,
Sure.
And
Can I have to jump in and ask, because I know we're going to keep ripping on it. You had said something that really, really resonated with myself and a lot of other creatives, and the fact you just wanted to enjoy the process and feel like you were a part of a team.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I think that's a big, not only issue, but a big strength that not a lot of people talk a lot about. Like the yearning to feel like you're a part of something, not only in the band dynamic, but tattoo artists in a studio dynamic, or when people are building families. I think it's that is such a profound thing that not enough people have a conversation with, but also kind of why things implode because of the lack of, like you had said, in my mind, it was 60-40. And then when everybody's not kind of on that same wavelength and path, is that what really like solidified the dynamic of the band? Was that team aspect of things?
It was at the beginning. It was severely like we did everything together. I mean, like I said, when I met them, they were all living together, in a fucking small apartment. I mean, granted, it was in Mission Viejo, but like at that time, you could get it done. It was a different time. It wasn't now time where that's just like you need 8 people, and you know what I mean? Like they were getting it done with their nothing jobs, and we lived, breathed, and ate together, and just scrounged by just to get to the rehearsal. Like that's like all of our mindsets were like, fuck this job, but like we know after this we're getting together to jam, and fucking there's our happy place, right? Like that's our reset. That's our fucking get mad, get whatever you need to get out right here, and we'll fucking high five after, like.
And I think that's what it really took, Austin, because I mean we had the similar story, dude. And I'm not going to go on with all my background, but me and Clint, like 3 dudes, lived in the back Mantis house. We did everything together, and that's what really brought the unity. And I think that's what will make or break a band on tour. Because if you can't live with the motherfuckers, you ain't going to be in a van with them for fucking 265 days a year. That's for sure.
No, bro, you can't get away. You know what I mean? Like, especially when in the van. Like,
and I think that's the difference from a lot of bands like ourselves that made it and lived the life. And you're obviously still doing it at a high level. But yeah, dude, that team and that's so important in music, dude. I think so many people forget about that, especially with hired guns. I mean, now you kind of are. Would you consider yourself, and I'm sure we'll get into this, kind of like a hired gun at the moment?
It took me a long time to even accept the fact that, like, with Chimaira, like I'm the guy, you know what I mean? Because maybe it's just like my severe respect for the situation, and just always. I mean, I looked up to a dude like Andals. I loved his style. I thought to myself, while an unknown, that like this is the only thing that I hear comparable to what I hear. So like, I really gravitated and latched on to that band. When I heard them, I was like, this is the kind of shit I want to do. Like this has that thug aspect that just has some fucking sick breakdowns, and then it's got the fucking ferocity. And I just loved it. There was nothing else that came close to me in my mind for what I just naturally ensued in me. So I was like, this guy gets it. So like coming into the band, and again, I've always just been a respectful person, and I've never taken things for granted. So it's just like I take a very heavy approach on that. Like it was paramount to me to respect and understand the history, and I never just assumed, here I am. You know what I mean? My fucking band. The world's largest animals at the time had been the drummers of that fucking band. You were talking about Andals, we're talking about Ricky, who they had for a minute, which was an absolute savage, and then Kevin Talley, one of the gnarliest fucking death metal guys of all time. And I'm stepping into these kind of shoes. You know what I'm saying? and whatever, who nobody, like a lot of people didn't even know Believe in Sky. They came to know about probably because they looked it up. It was like, oh, all right, And so I knew I had a lot to prove. And yeah, I guess I just stuck to my own and trusted the process and trusted that over time. But I never expected, which is something I've learned heavily in life.
It was one of those moments for me sitting back. It was like, oh fuck, Austin's in Chimaira, because I mean, like we had the pleasure of touring. I mean, they're right there, Sounds of the Underground, dude, and one of the few bands I sat on an entire tour side stage to watch them live every fucking night. You know what I mean? So it was almost like that small neighborhood kid who makes the football team and he's in the NFL. It's almost like, to me as a fan, like watching you do that, like that's the ultimate, dude. And I'm so proud of you, dude. Like I haven't been able to really tell you, but that's such an accomplishment, especially like coming from the same era, the same style, the same label mates, basically. And then you just go to this band that fucking Adair idolized. I mean, I didn't even hear from him until Adair joined Mantis, and he had that sticker everywhere. I'm like, what? How do you say that? Is that Chimaira? How do you? Chinkini? What is that? How do you say it? And Adair would just butcher me because my dumbass would always just say the name wrong, But respectfully, dude, like it's big shit. And how did that evolve, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah. So how Believe This Guy even got signed is because when we finally got to a point where we're like, fuck, okay, we're selling out the whiskey on our own. We're doing some things, which took forever to do that, right? Pay to play. That crushed us for a while until we got our own shit going. And then finally we realized, okay, we've plateaued and how much we can get done from a managerial aspect, because Wayne's just Wayne. I mean, he's a great businessman, but he's not, there's fucking levels of this shit. You know how that game goes. Managers work with agents work with, it just goes. And there's just that area where like we start to not matter. It's about who you know and who can fucking, talk to who. So we're like, fuck, we need a manager, whether he's done this or that or not or whatever. So we got a manager, and he somehow was able to contact this guy, Tom Hazar, who had worked with Chimaira and stuff like that. He had some ins. He knew their producer in Cleveland or at Strongsville, same thing. And he was like, let's try to fucking, like, you guys love Chimaira, like, let's try to fucking get you a legit demo. And so that's how we got to meet Ben, right? So that little inkling right there is how we got out there. We recorded the demo. One thing led to another. Ben knows Mark and all the Chimaira guys, and had been like, hey, listen to this fucking band that I just recorded. And Mark ended up loving it. And then that was kind of like the first interaction. Kind of the first way in. And then from that, we got an album deal through that demo on a random link at the time, or a random site at the time called GarageBand.com. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it was like us and Threat Signal that were like number 1 and 2 on the fucking songs, and we get the deal, and so we're like, well, fuck, this got us a deal. Let's go back to him, obviously, for the fucking full length. Now that we got an album deal, had the songs ready. Went out there, and at the time, we had also done a tour with this band called STEM from Rochester.
I remember STEM. We did a few shows with them. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Great dudes. Absolutely.
So TJ, who was the main singer, and then Joe, who was the other guitar player / singer. Noah had arranged for them. He wanted them to be on a track. Yeah. So while we were out there, they all came out there, the entire band though, which at the time was like, why is the whole band here? I'm down. I love these guys. Right on. They come there, they do their part. And then TJ comes up to me and he's like, hey, I didn't know if you knew, but, Rob from Chimaira has recently taken on some interest in wanting to manage bands, and he's managing us right now. And we are actually all out here because we're going to go to a studio and show him some new songs. Yeah. And was wondering if you wanted to go. And it was one of those like moments that you're like, you seize that moment, like even if it's just a thought, like, I don't know, it just light bulbs went off for me. I was like, this is one of those moments. Like I could be like, oh, hey, back, or like, I'm gonna go. You know, like for sure I'm going. But I just felt it within me. Like this is a moment. Something's gonna happen right here. How am I going to respectfully make this a moment that's not about me while I'm here, you know, watching these guys like play songs for Rob and him critiquing it. But once I realized that was what was going on, I found little moments to like throw in insight. And especially there was like a part where the drums, like he didn't know what he was going to do on the drums. So I made a suggestion. And I guess, so then they're taking a break. We're at the Chimaira studio. I'm freaking out kind of internally. I'm like seeing a huge Chimaira banner on the wall. They got this drum set on a riser with triggers, which I'd never heard on a kid. I'm like, this is fucking insane. Subwoofers, all that. So imagine the moment. You know what I mean? The setup is fucking crazy. So they end up taking a break, and Rob just comes up to me straight away. He's like, hey man, like there's something about you. Like I dig your vibe. Like, what do you think about fucking jamming? I'm like, whoa. Like, all mic'd up on move anything from how it was set up, and was just so fucking fired up. We just start jamming. Must have been a good 20 minutes. He's fucking smirking and smiling and getting into it, and we're just jamming off top. You know what I mean? We ended up stopping, and he's like, fuck, man, that was awesome. Like, so TJ and I, which is the singer from Seven, we've been thinking about jamming this, creating a new project. And I'm like, fuck. I mean, or what are you saying? He's like, well, do you want to fucking drum in this? I'm like, absolutely. So that's how the Elite was formed. Okay. So that Elite shit right there, we started making some demos. You know, Mark hears about this, and he ends up wanting to be on a track, and he was. Right. So that was like that was the biggest moment, you know. So from a project that still a lot of people don't even know anything about, because we've never even played a show still to this day, which is crazy. But that is literally like how I eventually becoming, you know, Chimaira when Andals leaves the second time. Age of Hell record. You know, I get a call one day, and it was crazy. I believe this guy was no more. I just moved back to California, and I just get this call from Rob, and it was very, what's the word? Cryptic in a sense, and another light bulb moment. But like, because the way that like the combo went, it was just like, hey, what are you doing? You know? Like nothing. What's going on? He's like, well, hey, I want to get Mark in on a call here. Are you busy? I'm like, no. And I just kind of like knew right away.
Yeah.
I knew, like, why am I talking to both of you right now? You know what I mean? What happened? I don't know what happened at the moment. I didn't know that all that happened.
Sure.
So I get asked to fly out a week from that call to come try out, to come play like 4 or 5 songs.
Fucking A. Good for you.
And it was crazy.
One thing you've said a lot is light bulb moments, like throughout your duration of all things. As a creative, as a musician, I look at all of them as very similar in the way we work. Do you think those light bulb moments occurred because of diligence to a plan, or because of a byproduct just based on you being your authentic self? Like they were just inevitable things that occurred, or were they inevitable because of the work ethic you had in those things?
I think it was both. I definitely like what you said about the authenticity part. Through my life, like I said, up until senior year, I didn't even know what I was going to do. You know what I mean? I know some things that I liked, but I was like, I don't see how this is going to make me money and in a career. You know what I mean? But I know what I liked, and I know how it made me feel. So I felt like somewhere in there is a reality. What that's going to look like to get towards that, I had no idea. But I knew, based upon my feelings and mindset and nothing else latched on to me like that, that's got to be it. You know what I mean? I think intuitively, whether we turn a blind eye to it or not, everyone has something like that. But it's whether or not you are locked in with it. You know what I mean? Or,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If that makes sense. I just truly believe we all have a purpose here. And if you haven't seen it, you're refusing to look harder at it, or but I refuse to believe that I'm the only one this light bulb moment's happened for. Is what I mean? It's just like you have to be in touch with yourself and real with yourself to realize this is what it is. You might be in fear because you don't know, like I said, what that's going to look like to get towards that. You know what I mean? The college kid half the time goes to college, they don't know what the fuck they want to do. They're fucking randomly firing off majors, and like you've heard it a million times, right? The homeboy's gone and with this major, and by the end, it's fucking completely different. But maybe it's because of that one throwaway class that really sparked the light bulb, right? He thought it was going to be a throwaway, and boom, I fucking really fuck with this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think you brought up a really interesting point when you were going in to do like the jam session. You didn't know it was going to turn into that. You may have had some hope, but you even said it like, this is the opportunity. You go into it. A lot of people, because of their creativity, will run through this laundry list of doubts and what ifs and fears and should I evens. And I think that's where that light bulb moment is either illuminating or it's distracting. You know what I mean? Like Jake and I working with creatives in a magnitude of things, especially nowadays with so much distraction and so much doubt being like so readily available. I think it's beautiful that you do talk a lot about the inevitability of the authenticity. Not sure what the plan's going to turn into, but just knowing that there's a plan that you're on because it's like a calling.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think too, it's like self-study. You know what I mean? Like when I am in doubt, which we all are, like I'm still like, there's still mountains I need to climb. There's still that same kid that was insecure. Like I know I need to move forward. Life doesn't stop. Life constantly evolves, right? And I watch you guys talk about it and where you're at today. I still struggle with some of the stuff that like, I'm a think tank, right? But like, I need a team, right? Yeah. And, but I'm required a little more to be a little more autonomous these days because everybody else can. So, you know what I mean? So it's inspiring, but it's still scary. It's the same problems I had before I discovered that this is what I want to do with my life still happen in other categories to get further. Yeah. Right? The same doubts, this and that. I'm not always easily able to A/B in my life. Like, oh, this worked here. Let's apply it here. I'm doing that. It takes a different kind of fucking tweak that I don't yet possess. And that's scary, right? Yeah. And that's just human. It's human. But what if that is reality? What if that is, psychological? What if that is a cognitive distortion, right? Yeah. That we all, I think, that's in all of us, whether you're diagnosed with that kind of behavior or not. We're in 2026. Everybody has that shit,
Yep.
So you mentioned the word evolving, dude, and you also mentioned purpose. And there was a word you used back a little bit earlier, and that was parting. So speaking of evolving, like at what point, because I know fucking that dope tour, you and I mean, I think all 10 of us were just completely 3 sheets to the wind that entire fucking day.
Yeah.
And the one thing I will say that I envy of you and like most musicians still touring and doing it is never getting the opportunity to doing that present and sober. And I spent the entire career in my musical history plastered. That's what inevitably dismantled the band. But what was that shift when you decided it was time? I mean, did you know you were still going to be touring and being a musician and all the things while sobering up?
Yeah, because I was currently, in DevilDriver. You know what I mean? The guys. So, I'll dig into it. My struggles went from weed and alcohol to, doing meth. You know what I mean? And that was my get down at the end of the day. And I was able to hide that part of my life. So I thought, right, luckily I had some close ones around me that were able to recognize what that looks like because of their own experiences or this or that. I just knew that lifestyle and knew me very well. But somehow I was able to separate that professional aspect and the band and such fear of losing that for what I might do had I lost it. And because I was on this, so I got put in a scenario where I was actually with this girl at the time who kind of like threatened me it was like an ultimatum. It was like, you're either going to go do something outside of your, your will and try something new, or I'm going to fucking tell the band, you know what I mean? And really, I mean, we're not together anymore. Obviously, I'm married and all this, and that could go a whole nother way. But it ended up tricking me to success, right? Because I'm sober now. I've been sober 8 years. So I actually went into treatment. Still, the guys didn't know, anything about that. With the treatment, mid-treatment, I paid out of pocket. Mid-treatment, I told the facility, hey, I gotta go. I think it was only like 2 or 3 weeks into my sobriety. I have to go on this tour in Europe, and that is what it is. Fast forward, I've worked in treatment, and usually this is not going to happen, right? If you're going through insurance, because they're not co-signing that shit. They're not. But I paid out of pocket, so that means I have a little more. It's on me. So they're like, okay, you can leave it. Yeah, I paid top dollar. You know what I mean? And so go and do the tour, come back, finish, and then lo and behold, end up having a bad breakup. I knew, I was always told, my first sponsor was like, you're, and what I learned in treatment, it's not the alcohol and drugs that's the problem, it's your thinking, right? There's a lot of that. That's what it was. I didn't know how to control my emotions, right? Severe highs from the road, and even just doing the acceptable things, right? Like smoking weed and drinking, I would just turn that way the fuck up. You know what I mean? Yeah. Then I'd come back and miss that high, that ultimate high of, I like to call it like a utopian dystopia or whatever, it was just like this feeling of I'm only responsible for 1 hour of fucking day. And that 1 hour is fucking ripping. What a sick life. I'm just, walking around doing fucking absolutely nothing all day and fucking going to drink coffee. This is crazy. But then I get home and be like nothing else fucking matches this shit. You know what I mean? And that was
dopamine, dude.
Hey, let's go turn off in this way and go do meth.
Out of curiosity, so this is one thing that we say frequently. I compare tattooing to the music world pretty paralleled. And I think a lot of things that musicians and tattoo artists struggle with is not knowing who they are when they're not on stage or not performing. So their life revolves around a performance. So drugs and alcohol become a really good escape to get you from point A to point Z, because you don't really know how to navigate life in a normal capacity or a significant successful capacity without that validation, that importance, that attention. That's just my words. Do you think that that's accurate, or am I just making shit up as I go?
I think that's pretty spot on, but also, it's case by case, right? Again, coming from a severe listener to all of a sudden I'm doing this shit, I struggled with that, and from an early age, getting signed, it was almost more intimidating because I was only 20. I was just experimenting. Well, I was all the way in, right? I'm getting fucked up to all levels. I'm already, started doing that at 18 or 19, on and off, right? Mm-hmm. I'm still a scared little boy that I didn't even mean to fall into this profession with intent. There was no intent. I didn't know. I was just kind of flailing and kind of showing up good enough and having a good enough heart to not fuck anybody over and always show up ready. That's all I knew how to do. You know what I mean? Which are huge character traits. But I'm now juggling this while I'm effed up. You know what I mean? And I just really had no direction other than just keep playing and that's all. Just go forward. All or nothing thinking. Quintessential classic case of an addict and alcoholic, right? A lot of us are like that.
Yeah. Was there a sense of balance to it to you at the time? You know what I mean? Maybe that was your balancing beam of the dialed focus, showing up ready to work, and then the balance of was the use of what it is you had started at a young age, or was it just kind of a pairing of the two created the wonderful tornado that you lived?
More of the B, but yeah, there was always this impending feeling of still to this day I struggle with what's next? What's that?
Yeah.
Like almost never fully enjoying an achievement, even though I put in all this time. It's hard to feel what that was like because I'm just deer in the headlights. Like the same way that I accomplish stuff is the same way that I use drugs and alcohol. It's really a mind fuck in a sense. You know what I mean? It's like I tell people all the time, and in the program, and I go to AA or this or that. I'm like, it's a weird thing that I have to attack my sobriety with the same intensity or the same approach that I did with drugs and alcohol. Like I have to turn this off, go forward, and that the solution and the things to do. You have to just do that all the time. I don't get to not be an alcoholic or an addict. That's something that lives within me forever. But I know how to work it. I know how to work on my emotions. I know how to recognize when I'm in such set thought processes that are harmful. And how to get out of that, because I've surrounded myself with nothing but those kind of individuals are like 90% of my friends and family now.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, life is still lifey, you know what I mean? But I just know how to communicate with it now and know how to be reasonable. My expectations, again, were so out of character and so like unrealistic. You know what I mean? I want everything right now, and I just want if the Matrix chip existed and I could learn, French right now and just go, I know French. That's what I prefer. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's just how my brain works. It doesn't. I want to know stuff without going through processes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm completely transparent and vulnerable, and I'm willing to bet that's a lot of people. But they realize that the reality is that's not how it goes. Right.
Yeah. The one thing that I always pushed against when I was going through my recovery journey was the joke they made the first day I walked into the rooms of AA was the only thing you have to change is everything about yourself. And I put a hard stop to that theory. But what I've learned through my understanding of my alcoholism and my drug addiction is I'm equally as obsessed, like you had said, with the work I do now as I was with the substances and the madness. My life is equally as chaotic and my foot hasn't come off the gas. I just have the roadmap of a destination instead of consistently crashing into every fucking wall that I saw to each side.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So Austin, dude, like obviously, knowing you so long and stuff and watching you kind of grow, we've talked about Shred Sober. And I noticed you've been rocking Solon. And I see less of the Shred Sober. So where are you like on your personal brand journey? Is this more just band focus and business kind of brand right now? Or do you have you said you're always trying to climb that mountain. So where are you at on that mountain with yourself?
I'd love to dive more back into it. Like I just re-signed the trademark because that came up, like it comes up over like 3-4, I don't know how many years, maybe 4 years. And that's one thing I need help with for sure. Just getting like I know it's such a great thing. It has a lot of potential. But again, that was something I created early in recovery because I realized how serious I need to be about it. So like we've always been told how not cool being sober is, right? But now here I am. It's a must, or I'm going to die, right?
Yeah.
Go to jail. That's the reality, right? And, so in my mind,
it's the perfect situation. I know, and I've always been one of those dudes who never utilized my platform to or bring self-awareness to like my stuff. It was always like branding everything else, but I see these platforms and these crowds and the people that you're around, and I just know what a passionate dude you are. So like, if not Shred Sober, I mean, what do you got? I know you had some things working on last time we met up at Rise Above. But can you speak about anything you've got going on or any other projects?
Oh, there's always more projects.
Oh, wait, there's more.
There's more. Yeah, there's a lot of not talk going on. There's some things that are definitely solid, but I can't really talk about it. But there are a lot of talks. Everything that I could tell you about, I can't, kind of thing. But I know. Well, one thing I can talk about for sure is Verona and Venus, which is a project that I've been in with Mike from DevilDriver. We wrote that record while we were both still in DevilDriver, and we're working on new music right now. And it's killer. It's more. It's something out of my box, out the box that I've never kind of done before. It kind of sounds like it's industrial meets like Perfect Circle. More singing than screaming, and it's super freaking cool. And hoping to do more with that in the nearest future. But yeah, there's other stuff going on. The Elite has like a full thing done. We're just waiting to put everything together, and we got like a whole nother full length. And we're definitely hoping to do some actual shows here in the next coming year or so. And yeah, I'm always doing session work. But again, you know, a lot of what you guys are about, I could definitely, you know, benefit from, because again, I tend to take on a lot of things and ideas and not finish them. You know what I mean? And not push, not know. And I get paralyzed a lot. But all these things I believe have potential. It's just about having the same consistency as I do when I wake up in the morning and I go work out right away. And I eat great every day. Like, there's so many things I can do to be helpful. And one of the biggest things for me is not just helpful for me, helpful for you, you know, because in my life, like if my heart's not into it to be helping somebody else, like it's going to be a tough sell for me. You know what I mean? But sometimes that's a distraction because I need to help myself so I can help you. Right. Sure. So it's always one of those, you know what I mean? But how can I assist you if I'm not assisting myself in that same category? I can't.
But in all honesty, dude, I mean, you're doing 80% more of the work that most musicians these days are doing with the fitness, the food, keeping up with the trends, doing the things, doing the right sponsorships and all that. Which will lead me in my next question is like, what advice? I mean, any musicians listening to this podcast, what advice would you give a young Austin?
Oh man. It's not a race. It's not a, you know, it's a marathon is what it is. It's a never ending marathon. You know, that's, and one of the big things for me is working on your character and being like some of the stuff. I don't know. I feel blessed that I've been gifted naturally is just reading the room and realizing if you're going to be a part of a team, right, or a family or whatever, know who your guys are. Like, get to know them, get to understand when they're off or this or that, and know how to either give them space or finding a way to ask them if they're okay. You know, and it doesn't have to look any kind of way, but like those things are so important. Like we already kind of touched on it. You're gonna, you know, if you're gonna go do this, and like to be in a band is to constantly be vulnerable, right? Mm-hmm. I can't jam with you if I'm not feeling something from you that, you know, makes me feel safe enough to like randomly like just play whatever. I mean, because there's gonna be a lot of sucking that's going on. There's gonna be some cool shit, you know what I mean? But a lot of shit's just gonna be very like, what's going on? And it's not going to be every day, but I gotta be able to trust that I can be like that in front of you. You know what I mean?
Is that why you've never asked me to scream in your projects? Because I'm not vulnerable enough?
No. That's funny.
Shit. But dude, you mentioned something about always climbing that mountain. And I think for most people listening, and any creative, is if they get to the top of that mountain and they just stay stuck or plateau, or they think, hey, I've made it, that's where they fucked up. So where did you come up with like constantly trying? I mean, you've made it to the Super Bowl in three bands. We'll say three bands. You know what I mean? So like, what kept you striving to just keep going for that fucking Chimaira moment? Is it Metallica next? I mean, what is it for you?
It's as simple as, here's the thing, like, do it because you love it. Like, that's my favorite thing. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's been said a million times, but for me, it reigns the most true, like, to myself. Like, I do it because I love it, you know? And I think with that mentality, and then being, told by, fans and this and that, of course that stuff matters, but it gave it more weight for sure. And like a tip of a hat, which I try not to ever need, but it's nice, right? When you get it, because we're all a little bit uncertain, and there's spells of that. But when you're told certain stories, like I know you've been told it because you're a singer, especially, right? But like this song saved my life, shit like that. Chill. I just got to chill right now. But like when you're told that even once, you already know. I'm going in the direction. You know what I mean? Not to say that won't happen from something else you do, which shouldn't stop you, right? That's what I've learned as well. Is like, because music was like the only thing in my mind. Like, what if that doesn't work out? What else can I do? Right? That scared the shit out of me. Right? It wasn't until getting sober, COVID happening, and then working in treatment that I finally found something else where I was like, if something happened at the end of the day, whatever may be the case, what the fuck am I going to do? I'm going to do that. Because why? Because it's relatable. And I feel when I leave for the day that I've been of service to another, you know what I mean? And it was reciprocated. If I don't have that, there's not a dollar amount I can make if it's not making me feel a certain way that's going to make me happy. I'll just be another motherfucker with money.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild you said that, dude, because, a lot of the times we talk to people, especially entrepreneurs, where it's like, you don't usually want a plan B, because when you have the plan B, it's your safety net. Well, what if it doesn't work out? I have this. So you don't put all your eggs in one basket. And that fails for a lot of people. But, as we get into our late 30s and early 40s, I mean, sometimes it's applicable.
Yeah, I think I need all the mindsets. Because on any given day, as an emotional, vulnerable style person, I'm going to need another look. I'm going to need that fucking Tony Robbins fucking shit. I'm going to need to hear that to get me out of my shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Maybe tomorrow, though, I need to fucking cry. I don't know. You know what I mean? But like, I'm spinning off a bit, but like, that's real. I need all the tools. And I need I'm a student of life forever. And I think that's how I move forward, is by not ever assuming that I've made it, or not ever assuming I know it all. I'm an open book, always an open canvas, and I'm ready to be reworked whenever. You know what I mean?
One of the most powerful things I ever heard was so simple, but it stuck with me. And it was just coming out of my recovery, truly understanding that I was sober for me, not for the request of others. Somebody said just the term student of the process to me. I always thought like I was in such control. I had this white knuckle grip on everything and I refused to loosen up. But hearing the simple statement of just being a student of the process made me so open to understanding not only options, but opportunities. Because I was one of those people that if I wasn't going to tattoo, I didn't know what I was going to do. But because of that, I had this fear of, well, what if anything were to happen? I think it is important for people who have creative minds to be hyper vigilant and hyper focused on the thing, not to have a plan B, because you don't have the control over your thought patterns to create habits to make one thing successful. But once you get into the ages Jake just spoke about, 30 or 40, it's good to have maybe not a plan B, but options, because it keeps the creative mind focusing. You can do one thing for so long to where you sabotage yourself and your love for the thing because you don't have other avenues. That can be things as simple as fitness or health or being of service to others or clothing companies or peptide companies. You know what I mean? Yeah. But having those other things to put your zone of genius as a creative into, it makes the one thing you dedicated all your time to that much more valuable, because it can still remain an outlet, but a massive asset.
Yeah. Well, I think that goes the same. Yeah. If we flip the script and actually like the people that burn the boats, where they have that creative vision or dream, but they're stuck in that 9 to 5 and they never pursue that. And they just gave a little bit of that, creativity, or went and played the drums or picked up the guitar or fucking picked up the tattoo gun. Shit would work out for people if they just gave a little bit of that, Yeah. So I think that can go either way.
I was raised as a kid. Sorry. When I was raised as a kid, I grew up in a military and a government-based family. And I learned art as an escape, art as an outlet. And I was told my entire life, like, this is a really good thing to be able to do as a hobby, to give you a little bit of an easy out when you need to escape from the 9 to 5, from the things that like the cartoon character life requires of you. And I was just ballsy and angsty enough to give a middle finger to that lifestyle. I didn't understand that there was going to be success at the end of it. I just wanted to rebel against everything that I was told is normal and convenient or comfortable. And I think there are a lot of people who they use that as their backup plan. Like if A doesn't work, I will rely on B, or they choose B first and don't give what should have been A enough time and attention, so it becomes an escape. As an artist or a musician, I believe it's extremely important to not just utilize your creativity and your true passion as something you just do in your downtime, but something that you dedicate your time to, because it's who you truly are. That is your fucking authenticity. Mm-hmm. But going back to what Jake had said at the beginning of this podcast, there are people who have retired from their creative love, or at least took the foot off the gas a little bit, to where now they feel so lost. They may have gone into a 9 to 5 for a safety measure, but they can't find the heart they had in the thing, or they yearn so badly to get their heart back in the thing, but now they have the safety net readily available and they can't seem to escape it. It went from being a safety net to almost like a fisher's net. They're just like bound in. And I think that's one thing that I really want to hear, just knowing your story so far, is to those people who have toured or who have lost their love for the creative, like words of wisdom, words of hope, words of belief of how people can refine that, retap into that, or to give them hope that it's the most necessary asset about them.
Wow, there's a lot to unpack in there.
I do that. Sorry.
I don't know. Life's just those hills and valleys, man. Like sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. But it's just like you just have to be real with yourself, and sometimes those come from others taking notice. And I can't say it's going to happen for everyone that they call them out, right? Hopefully, you got some good friends that are like, "Yo, I noticed you ain't playing nothing. You're not, you know what I mean? Like I know you're doing this, but like." At least do this because you love it. Like, again, you know what I mean? Like, that was my first, like, I grew up insecure and fat, you know what I mean? And just, like, jumping around from city to city. I didn't know I didn't have any construct that was, like, other than, like, having a great mom and dad, but just shit was all over the place, you know? Yeah, just keeping the fire is difficult, for sure. And getting back into it can be difficult. For instance, right, even for me, I've kept it moving, but it's been the most difficult going on over 10 years now to do this for me than ever, because of evolution and because where my safe spot was of like, we're getting in a room today, guys, and we're jamming. That's gone bye-bye a long time ago. You know what I mean? For a lot of bands. Mm-hmm. You know, my case, all the guys live in different states. So we're talking about creating a record abroad. Can you? I mean, I can't define to you, for me, person that wants to be a part of the team, anything less inspiring than me jamming through demo guitars by myself every day, telling myself without spinning the fuck out and being pumped that I'm not, but I got to do it, right? And I got to find. Do I know mentally that the way cooler shit's going to happen if we're in a fucking room? Absolutely, because that's what I've always known. That's what gets me going, because you're fucking smiling over there. I'm like, yeah, now I know this is what I'm supposed to play because you're fucking smiling. You know what I mean? I don't play music just for me. I play it for everyone. And I like being a part of the team, right? And I love being able to give that product. So being out of my head in the creative process when I'm just by myself in a fucking loft, thank God I get this loft to jam in, but it's there and I'm not by myself. You hear it all the time in these motivational. It's like nobody sees you doing $1 million by yourself. You know what I mean? Like that shit. It's fucking real. That's just the realest part of this whole thing. You see the guy fucking smiling and headbanging a lot. that's because I put in all the fucking work, you know what I mean? But,
Yeah.
a lot of that shit was not awesome, you know what I mean? But I realized especially as aging, like if I don't use it, I lose it, you know what I mean? And it's a fucking mental thing. I got to realize and be real with myself, because everyone's mind will try to convince you that this chapter's over, this era is over, this part of me is no longer inspired. Inspiration, that initial inspiration was like the first time you did the drug.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You didn't think about it. You were just inspired.
Yeah.
You did two things right on the fucking drum set, and you're like, oh my God, yes. You know, and that happened maybe for some years, but then, yeah, the disconnect, you know what I mean? Maybe it's because you're not vulnerable enough to, like, for me, like, I haven't had a drum teacher ever, like, for all these years. And now I'm to a point where it's like, I can only learn so much on my own. You know what I mean? And I'm not a watch a video guy, and this guy's got a fucking 3-hour video, and that's difficult. You know, some of that's a cop out, right? But for me, I know who I am, right? Like if I got a guy in front of me and we're chopping shit out and he's picking me apart, I'm listening. You know what I mean? I'm not like getting offended. I'm aware of where I need, you know, this and that, but that works for me, right? So maybe there's some fine tuning within that to get you do something that is unconventional to you and uncomfortable. That's where you're going to start getting re-inspired, because you don't know where to pick that shit from. You know what I mean? You know that maybe you intuitively know you need to go this way. You're just fucking not doing it. You know there could be a fucking rainbow over there, and that should be inspiring to know that you can reach out, be vulnerable. This guy might fucking open a whole new Pandora's for you. You know what I'm saying?
Jake and I have that conversation frequently. I live in Iowa and he lives out in Cali, you know what I mean? So to do these things almost daily at this point and having to like have a version of self you need to tap into that can show up ready to rip, shameless plug. It's almost its own form of creativity, because I think all of us creatives require an environment or inspiration in most cases to be able to tap into that version of self at its finest form, until like, because I've been kind of positioned in the same way. I had to cut a lot of the fat in my social circles locally because it no longer served me, or the actions we took or the conversations we had were no longer serving to the greater vision that I had. So it's really hard, because I also like, I yearn to be a part of a team. I yearn to be a part of a family. Family means more to me than anything. And it's not just in my genetic line. It's also in those I surround myself with and am vulnerable with for that to occur. So when you're in different states, let alone different rooms, I guess this is where the question lies. Do you have a version of self that you tap into to be able to play that instrument with the same energy, or is it something you have to kind of work your way into when you're going into the recording process from state to state?
I have this new way that I've been recording things to keep it authentic, that kind of happen upon, because there's no live aspect with the guys, right? Mm-hmm. Like we're not in a room. So I call it the 80-20, like in a sense. Like I have 80% of the material exactly the way I know I want to play it, and there's 20% wiggle room to give you the feeling as if we were in a room.
Okay.
Which is fucking ballsy, right? Because we're talking about like we're paying this guy to record us, and I'm just going in there with 20% of the unknown. But generally, I get the take, and we're like, and I'll listen back. I'm like, fucking, I'm not doing that part again. That was fucking, I tapped out and like got that, just like, where did he go? But it fucking landed like the sick kickflip trick, you know what I mean? And fucking that's it, you know what I mean? And usually I'm talking about like random fills or this, that like shit that would usually be developed in a room with people, you know what I mean? And then you'd be like, oh fuck, that's the thing, and that's how I keep that element fresh for me, and what I like to do to give the illusion that we were in a room doing all this together, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's where the art comes in though, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Otherwise, you're just kind of a flash artist in the tattoo world. You know what I mean? You're just pick it off the wall. We'll be done in 30. You know what I mean? It takes all the fun, all the creative out of it. I think that's a really good approach, you know, that I think people need to have in the back of their minds when they do enter the opportunity to, I mean, that in itself is evolution, because that's how you test your own might, especially without having that live energy that tattoo studios generally try to build a culture off of, or a band creates that unity that's only perceived by the fans. Because there's bands I've seen, not a big fan of on album, but the minute you see them and that interaction, that energy that they have together is like, oh fuck, they're my favorite band now. Hell yeah.
Absolutely. And that I'm big on that live. Like, people that know me, like as a player, realize what they're gonna get when they go to live show. They'll be like, they already know they're gonna hear this song about 80% of the way, and maybe even 70 at live. If I'm really feeling it, I'm throwing in fucking random cool shit or high-fiving the guys. You know, Bleed did that all the time. Like, I'd make my singer fucking laugh, because he'd be like, what the fuck did you just do? It was awesome. But I'm not seeing that color, you know? That's like, that just comes naturally, because that's how I enjoy that aspect of live performing. And the same shit would happen in the fucking rehearsal room. Like, I've always been known, we're just rehearsing. We're not even playing a show. And I'm fucking going off in the room, and I can't help it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, you know, it's just, that's that raw, something that really I tapped in, that really resonated with me as I was a case manager working in the treatment field. And this one client I had, he was struggling, and he told me, I'm struggling to find that outlet of escapism that I got from drugs and alcohol, right? And I'm like, this is my OG escapism, right? So like that feeling when you're really in it and you're really striking gold and you have that disconnect, like, I think I've always liked that safe spot for me. Like, you know, I'm doing my thing. I mean, sometimes if you're with the right person, you're jamming for 30 minutes and then you stop, and you literally felt like you don't know where you went. You were just so fucking in it. You know what I mean? And I think, you know, if you got something like that, you always kind of want it. You know, I mean, it makes perfect sense that I'm an addict and alcoholic. You know, what I mean? I enjoy the moments of where this thing has to stop telling me a bunch of random false shit. You know what I mean? Like all the this and that. So like, I just enjoy that. You know?
Oh yeah. So when's the next tour? When we playing? Wait, I'll back that up. You guys you don't hop in the bus and do multiple, right? Are you guys more flying festival at the moment, or are you looking to do?
That's what we've been doing. Right now we're just having a bunch of discussions about the next steps, and I'm excited about these discussions, and we're just kind of trying to lock in what that's going to look like. And I think we made a lot of progress last year, and definitely saw with Chimaira that, you know, a lot of people still give a shit and really want us to see us do more. So that'll definitely continue to rekindle like a bigger flame. So we're all in good spirits, and I think there could be something fucking sick coming soon, you know?
Yeah. Well, I love it, dude. Well, again, man, I appreciate your time, dude. If people want to find your page, where can they find you on social media, bro?
Austin, AUST1 in DAMOND, and that's Instagram. Yep. Just my name, Facebook, and then what you call it? You can check out the Shred Sober stuff, which hopefully will get me back on track, get some new stuff. On board.
Tell me this, you're doing sessions, man. If somebody wanted to pick your brain, get help from you, are you doing it mobile, in person? Are you offering drum lessons to the public? How's that work?
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm focusing more on session stuff, and I got a full mic, full mic pack, and I recently that was a hurdle that I told myself that I could never figure out, and I've done that now. So I've been able to do that for some people. So, you can hit me up on my email at fnostyle@gmail, and just, we'll get it going for you.
Yeah, we'll get all the links in the description. But fucking honor, dude. I'm so proud of you as a friend and a fanboy. So just keep fucking rocking, man, and doing your purpose and climbing that mountain. Don't stop climbing that shit.
You know it, brother. Thank you guys for having me, man. It's been awesome to chop it up here.
I've got a closing question. Just out of curiosity, round table Q&A. Favorite live band?
Ooh. Favorite live band?
That's tough.
Gotta be.
Like, whose energy just does it for you?
I'm going through the lexicon. Damn. I'm trying to think of. Oh no, I got it. And I've seen them more than any metal band. 311. It's just
okay.
Isn't that crazy? But I love so much music, but that band has a special spot in my heart. I love bands that can be that eclectic, and not many can do it well. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that band's always been. It hits every level. They get fucking grinded, but then they take you right back to the beach. There's so many elements, and they live. If you ever see them, it doesn't matter who goes on next. You ain't beating them. Like, they're so tight and such a vibe. Literally, you can put a heaviest band ever after them, and it's not even going to touch it, dude, because their music, to me, is just that dope.
I saw them with Sugar Ray and Incubus when they came out with Science, when Brandon still had the dreads. Like, so this is 97, 98.
Hell yeah,
and it's like, I get it. That set a tone for childhood version of me.
They were 97, 98. I think they were playing like the bar in Austin. Like, I want to say that 97, dude. I want to say like that's the no doubt Incubus era that came through like the barn, dude. Like, literally. Yeah. 311 was in small print with like Voodoo Glow Skulls headlining, dude. Like, that's how that's how that was.
I think it was right when Transistor had just come out.
Oh yeah, so the big album had come out.
I can't believe I remember that shit.
Right? The blue record. I think it was subtitled, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Jake.
What?
Roundtable question. Who's your favorite live band?
Oh, fuck me. I was thinking that. Fucking all of them, dude. Put me at a concert, bro, and you found my happy place, dude. It doesn't matter what band it is. If they've got the vibe, the energy. Most recently, though, The Ghost Inside fucking threw down hard. But I would still say to this day, Thrice. Thrice is by far one of my favorite bands live, because just like you said, Austin, they can bring that fucking old school, Stare at the Sun, but then they get down to that Dustin Kinzer kind of solo folk and that new Thrice stuff. Yeah. It may not hit like the old stuff, but god damn, they're aging like a fine wine, bro. So I would have to say Thrice. Thrice for me would probably do it.
They've got a weird... No, go ahead.
Just real quick. Randomly, bro, their bass player lives fucking around.
You told me that at Brandon's. You told me that at Rise Park. Look it up.
One day I'm like, yo, what's up? Like, and I didn't even know, because I'm like, I don't know him like that. And we just ended up getting to chat, and randomly he's just walking his dog. And we get talking about music. He's like, yeah, I played Thrice. No way, bro. Like, it was so random.
They kill. I remember seeing them at the Palladium with Rise Against, and I was a huge Thrice fan. But at that moment, I mean, this is early on, Rise Against. I was such a big Rise Against fan, dude. Thrice went on, like, co-headlined. By the time Rise Against went on, I'm like, nah, don't even fucking doing it for me, bro. But that's how good they sound. So tight, dude.
Yeah,
so tight. You can tell they're a bunch of bros from the same hood. You know what I mean? One of those things. That's it. Childhood homies that made their dreams come true.
They have a stupid place in my heart, because I was never a big fan until I saw them. And so, like I proposed to Katie on stage with Hawthorne Heights when they were doing the Is for Lovers tour, but Thrice played right before them. And that's when I was like, nah, now's the time. So I remember more about Thrice's set when I decided. I had that ring in my pocket for like a month and a half.
Oh my God.
So Thrice is always going to have a special place in my heart. I'm going to say this, and I think it's based on nostalgia and reminiscence, but Every Time I Die.
Ooh.
Is the energy of that shit when they were in their prime was it brought a little part of the devil out of me every damn time I saw them, man. I was ready to just get weird.
Well, yeah, there's those bands you see live that just like you just get lost in the moment. Their words, the fucking vibe, you don't move, you just stand there. But then you got the Dillingers and Every Time I Dies and the Chariots, where you're just absolutely going to bring the mosh pit out of you. Something like that. Yeah. So
I don't care how bad my knees hurt. If they came back, I'd risk their stability for that shit for sure.
You know what? Hold on. I will fucking say this. I had the opportunity since 1992 when 40 Ounces of Freedom came out. My goal was to see Sublime live. And when Bradley passes, it's one of those dreams that just gets shattered. Fuck, I'll never see this band. Until Jacob came around, I had my uncertainty about it until I started hearing the kid. And then I saw his mission and his core values and all the things. I was listening to every interview, basically stalked the kid just to see how he fit that persona. And bro, when I saw them live, I got to saw them live a few months ago in Vegas with Pennywise. And that kid, the best sound I've ever heard from a band. Sublime is back, and Sublime is on a fucking warpath. And Jacob is fucking his dad's soul, dude. It's an incredible thing.
Exactly like him.
Live, dude, just his vibe live and how he just interacts with the crowd and just the kid that he is. Yeah. He's just one of those humans that just is doing it for all the right reasons. You know what I mean? So I would actually have to say, man, hearing Sublime by far right now, like it reminds me of I'm in 92. I mean, bro, from the 808s to the DJ to they've nailed the production, the video screen, the blow up animals. I mean, fucking. So yeah, anyone listening, if you get the opportunity, go see Sublime. Fucking sorry. I stole that. I jumped all over that, but I forgot. It just came to me.
There you go. Aren't you proud of me? I didn't talk about riding mythological creatures.
Yeah.